All right, guys, I'm back. Episode 259. Today we're talking about guilt as a habit and how you can bring more joy into your life right now. I've been waiting for this moment. So if you're an avid listener, you might wonder, Heather, where have you been? I know, I just dropped off the face of the earth and I didn't tell you why. So here's the reason why. I was sick. I had a nasty cold and I was in bed for a week. And then I had a client intensive all weekend and a client intensive the week before. So I've been a busy little bee and also the complete opposite. Busy just surrendering to what my body was telling me to do, which was rest. And I'm sure I'll be talking more about this in the coming episodes. Today I actually wanted to share something really awesome with you. I kind of did a call to action inside the Village group, which is our private Facebook group. So you can head over to my website. There's a link to join that there. And I just put out like, hey, I'm going to do some hot seat coaching live not live, but we'll record it and it will end up on the podcast. And this conversation is going to be of huge service to the community. So Malia, today I'm going to be sharing hers with you. And it was a really great discussion on guilt as a habit and, identifying ourselves, our identity as mothers. And kind of just, discovering who am I, and just a very candid conversation going back and forth about that and how, giving ourselves permission to just take that bath and go for it, or, buy that t-shirt or whatever it is, because we just love our kids so much. And then we become angry and resentful sometimes. And why is that? So I really enjoyed our conversation today. We'll be getting to that in a sec. And I was reflecting, I re-listened to it and I was like, this is so freaking awesome. I love these conversations. I'm going to have more of them. So I highly, highly suggest you head on over. If you are a Facebook person, get in that group. So the next time I do a call to action for hot seat coaching and you want to talk to me and ask your questions, excuse me, I might be doing that a few times. We'll dive in. So while I was sick, I was like, oh my God, okay, I gotta record a podcast. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. Right. I'm sure you've all been there. And as the week progressed, it was like, okay, here's my to-do list. All right. Now I got to cut it in half because I don't feel good. Okay. What's high priority? Okay. What is that one thing I need to get accomplished today? And then I just let that shit go. I literally did nothing. I did the bare minimum that I possibly could to keep my children alive, to keep, myself alive, to keep my business running. I delegated, outsourced. I still did a little bit of coaching, but even then, if I could have got rid of that too. And my clients were totally, supportive. And they're like, hey, if you need to take it off, take it off. It's no big deal. So the reason why I'm telling you this, because of course I did have guilt, and Malia and I are going to talk about this. I was like, oh, I feel so guilty. People are expecting me to have a podcast. They're expecting me to do this. And then I was like, but Heather, this is the shit you teach. And so use this as a lesson and use this as a teachable moment for everybody. And I think it's really important that I continue to be authentic and honest with you, that, especially women in business, women who work outside of the home. There's every time I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And they're like, balance. It's really alignment, what you're after, which is about feeling good in your body and your mind and, your contribution to the world. And if you choose to make your own money, it's really about the choices that you want to make, whether you're staying home, whether you're working outside of the home, whether you're working from home. You just have to ask yourself, what do I want? And it's not because you see everybody else doing something. It's about, what do you want? What is your soul craving? Who do you want to be? Sometimes we don't know, right? And this is why I do the show. It's showing you my own personal journey behind the scenes most of the time about what it's like to be a woman in modern culture, raising children who you desire to be independent, decent human beings who are self-sustaining without burning yourself out. And I see a lot of conversations in Facebook groups and these freaking parenting memes that are driving me nuts about how we need to be drunk all the time, drinking wine, chronically exhausted, and pretty much angry and resentful that we can't live our dreams because we decided to have children. And I think this is complete bullshit. So I'm calling bullshit on that. This is exactly why I do what I do. But also understanding that like going for whatever you want in your life, whether it's your business, your health, your marriage, your relationships, whatever, your children's behavior and your parenting relationship, it needs to be sustainable. And in order for things to be sustainable, sometimes that's, hey man, I'm sick this week, so you're not getting a podcast from me, even though you typically get at least one a week. And that's okay. It's about letting go of the guilt and realizing that sustainability is that when you drop the ball, meaning, hey, I need to create some space in my life this week. If your whole world explodes, meaning everyone's like, I'm not listening to you anymore, Heather, and all my clients like left, or I'm not, haven't created a sustainable business, like a sustainable money model or plan in my life. If your relationships fall flat on your face when you're just like creating that space, you're in survival mode. You're living on autopilot, and you really gotta look at your systems. You gotta look at your strategies. You gotta look at your plan, and you gotta figure out this isn't working for me. And it was actually beautiful to see how I was sick, and a lot of the pressures that I used to have 4 or 5 years ago, when I got sick, obviously on a bigger scale, weren't there anymore. I was content. I'm like, I've set up my life in alignment in every aspect of my life that I can create this space. I still have money coming in. I can still put food on the table. I have the support that I need. I've created these systems in my life. So understand that if I can do this, you can do this too. So before we dive into today's podcast, I'm really excited, and I was supposed to launch it last week, but it didn't happen. You guys asked for it, so I'm giving it to you. And I'm telling you right now, I have no idea how long I'm going to readily make these available to you. And I honestly mean this. So if this is something you are interested in, I say act fast, because, when the time comes, I'm like, okay, it's gone. So act fast. So what I've decided to do is, you've probably heard me talk about my mastery program. That's the group coaching program. It's a high-end group coaching program. You get a lot of one-on-one with me. We're helping you create that roadmap to create the life that you truly want. And that's by application. You have to go through an interview process with me. We get in there, you get the one-on-one, blah, blah, blah. It's an 8-month process. If you're interested in that, all you have to do is apply at mamisincontrol.com. But what I've decided to do is, the common questions that I get are, I want balance, which I refer to as alignment, and energetic time management. I need to manage my time better. So what I've decided to do is actually create is sell you those modules. So this is something that I teach in my bigger program, and I'm actually giving it to you. So if you head on over to, not giving it to you, but I've packaged it for you so that you can start doing this work ASAP at affordable price. So head on over to my site, heatherchauvin.com/workshops. And when you head on that page, what you're going to see is, you're going to see the energetic time management workshop that's for sale for $197. You're going to see the alignment workshop that's for sale for $197. Also the Teach Your Kid to Meditate program, which I haven't been selling for a while. And if you decide I want all three, I've actually made an affordable bundle for you that you can get all three programs for, I believe it's $397. And so you almost get like $150 off or something like that. All that information is on the website, heatherchauvin.com/workshops with an S. Go there, click on the one that you want, purchase, and you will get immediate access to it, and you can start right away. I'm telling you right now, I have no idea how long I'm going to be having these for sale. So that's something you're going to want to take advantage of. The reason why I'm doing this is because I am on a mission to help you get your shit together and get your life back. I get so many emails from you guys and like, how can I be of service to as many people as possible? So this is what I'm doing for you. The modules have been game changers. These are the top 2 game changers modules that I teach with my one-on-one and my group clients. So you're going to gain tremendous value from it. You get the pre-recorded training, you get the PDFs, you get all of my resources. These are the processes that I use to manage my time, to help my kids with their behavior, and to make sure that I'm in alignment in my life, my business, my health, my marriage, all of that fun stuff. So head on over to heatherchauvin.com/workshops. All right, guys, we're going to dive into the conversation with Malia now, talking about guilt, talking about all of the fun stuff that we talk about as women. And if you're interested in hot seat coaching, then head to my website, heatherchauvin.com, and join our Facebook group for when I announce it next. All right.
There you
Welcome,
go.
Malia. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I said, all these brave women that are like, I'll do it. And I'm like, all right, girl, you are not alone. And I think as parents, especially women, we live in isolation, which is so weird because you can listen to the podcast and we can read these books and we can be inspired by other people. And yet we still have this space of isolation within ourselves of like, why am I the only one experiencing this, or is anybody else? So knowing that you're using your story and your challenges today to show other women that they are not alone. So let's dive in. When I asked you what you wanted to talk about, you talked about alignment and energy, parenting, and relationships, and how everything's kind of connected. So let me know what's coming up for you regarding that.
I think in my life, because I'm what you said of just that chord of you can listen to podcasts but you're still kind of in this isolation, that really strikes a chord with me, just in the sense of I'm a stay-at-home mom. I kind of went right in from the work world, but never really, I graduated, I did the Peace Corps, and then I was kind of in between jobs and working in a school and liking it, but not really knowing what I wanted to do with my career. And then I got married and I have 2 kids, and I kind of just went right from exploring where life would take me to being a stay-at-home mom, which has been beautiful and wonderful and isolating sometimes. And so when I think of alignment, I think I'm still doing a lot of self-discovery in the midst of trying to discover who my children are. And sometimes that can be very energy consuming when the energy comes in. And obviously parenting is my main focus right now. So that's where I wrote down parenting. But I think that a lot of that challenge just comes from discovering who you are, being true to who you are in your core, and trying to figure out how that fits into dedicating your life to children and taking the time to, I don't like to say self-care because I think that kind of gets construed with things like a glass of wine and getting a pedicure that are wonderful, but they don't really
that's
do much for just self-discovery. Yeah. So just trying to figure out how to take the time and give myself the permission to do some of my own self-discovery. Yeah. I think I'm repeating myself, but just in the midst of motherhood.
It's all good. So I love this conversation because I think it's really at the core of parenting in general. So there's, we have these camps of parenting and motherhood and women and all of this stuff, right? Like, I don't work, but you do, right? Like we all, parenting is work. Like it's a career and it's lifelong, and you're self-employed and it's like terrifying at times, and you think you're going to get fired, but yet, you never do. And you're like, I'm not even qualified to do this job. And so we have these different camps of women where it's like, okay, some of my energy is put towards my business or my job or whatever that is. But when you are dedicating your life, okay, I'm a stay-at-home mom, meaning my primary care is for these children, and obviously managing a household and all of that fun stuff that comes with this. But the conversation that you're having is, how can I be present and I'm trying to discover more about my children, but at the same time, I'm still trying to discover who I am. And your children will definitely teach you that very quickly.
Very quickly. Very quickly. And I think that's been part of the challenge for me is there has been sides of myself that have come up in parenting, be it super short on patience or just totally losing my cool and not feeling like I'm in control of some of the emotions that are coming out of my body, that I don't think anything in my life really pushed me or challenged me or made me as vulnerable as being a mom has. And so that has been an interesting part of my self-discovery, is some of the things that I'm learning I don't really like. But then learning how to take those in without the shame and the guilt and that downward spiral, So yeah, your kids teach you a lot about yourself really fast, and not all of it's flattering, which is hard.
And what the beauty of this is one, we have to remember that we're human.
Yeah.
And two, becoming fully self-expressed, which I truly believe is a lifelong journey, because I teach this stuff, I live it, I breathe it, and I still lose my cool, and I'm still learning and figuring out who I am. I truly believe as human beings, we're constantly evolving. We're constantly growing. So when you're like, oh, when I figure out how to stop yelling, then I will. And the truth is it's the everyday moment, right? But or you give, and I just want to kind of know how this lands with you, and you can reflect on your own life, and then we'll have a conversation about that. The more you give yourself permission to do, be, and have like who you want to be as a woman, not as a mother, but as a woman and a human being, the more you give yourself permission to become that person, the more in alignment you feel. And then there's less yelling, there's less reaction, because you feel more content in your body and in your soul.
And I totally agree with that. And that's something that I feel like I've just been learning and applying to my own life within the last few months. And honestly, listening to your podcast were just such a 180 for me in so many ways, just because it was like, wow, here's this woman in this podcast and this group of people who are telling me that the more that you give yourself permission to be you, apart from motherhood, apart from being a wife, apart from all these other roles that suddenly I'm taking on, the less that the freakouts happen, or the less that you look back and you're like, who am I? And that's been a really beautiful thing. And that's why your podcast has been so inspiring for me, just because I think one of my problems is, if my kids were crawling all over me or mom, and I felt guilty saying, I need 5 minutes, or I felt guilty being like, you know what, you guys watch a cartoon. Like right now I timed it. I put my youngest daughter down for a nap and I was like, okay, I just call Heather at 2. So I put her down for a nap and my eldest is watching a cartoon so that I can sit upstairs and talk to you, and learning to give myself those permissions and not feel guilty that, she's down by herself watching a cartoon for half an hour. I'm here, I'm in the home. If something really happened, she's my priority. I would hang up with you, but to take that time and not feel guilty. And that's been an interesting discovery for me too, is trying to just, instead of saying, to really get at the root of things, instead of saying, well, this makes me feel guilty. Well, why? Is it my own standards? Is it culture? Is it, why do I feel guilty? Because if I know why, then I can work away from that, to kind of move forward.
Right. So I want to challenge the why. And I think this is really, really important. I actually tell people, who cares about the why? And then they go, oh my gosh, why would you say that to me, Heather? I just spent, the last decade of my life in therapy, and we're always trying to figure out why. And I said, I get it. I have a degree in social work. We discovered all of this fun stuff, and I know all these theories. But when we often ask, why do I feel this way? We go down a rabbit hole, and oftentimes we don't get the answer. And then you're still left with the guilt, right? And you're like, okay, great. I still feel guilty. Why do I feel guilty? Why? And when we're kind of asking the why question, and I'm not saying it's not a bad thing, but we do have to pay attention to where are we focusing our energy and attention. And oftentimes, there is that saying of what you focus your attention on grows. I totally kibosh the quote, but that's the point of it, is what you focus on will grow. So if I'm focused on the guilt, why do I have the guilt? Why do I have the guilt? Why do I have the guilt? I'm just going to constantly be surrounding myself with guilt, right? I'm going to be focused on it. It's going to be in my sphere. But what if you knew how you wanted to feel every day? So you hear me all the time. I refer to Danielle Laporte. I talk about core desired feelings, right? How do you want to feel in your life? So what's the opposite of guilt for you?
Joy. I think guilt and shame, they suck joy away. And so the opposite would definitely be joy.
Perfect. So this is where the real magic happens. So I always say to people, focus on what you do want. And life gives you contrast. So you're like, oh, not this. I don't want to feel guilty. Here it comes up again. This is not in alignment. Guilt is not in alignment with how I want to feel, right? But it's there. So ask yourself in that moment. So you could take, this moment, you're obviously talking to me, but if I wasn't here holding space for you, could you give yourself 30 minutes to be like, you can watch TV and I'm going to read a book in my room, or heck, I'm going to take a bath while you're watching TV while the other one is sleeping. And I'm going to read a book in the bathtub while you're watching cartoons. How dare I? How dare I?
That sounds so rebellious.
Yeah. But then the guilt creeps in, right? Yeah. In that moment, how can you choose joy and go, I'm actually going to attempt, maybe not the first round, because remember, this is a muscle. And if the muscle is really flexed in the guilt, well, we got to learn to flex the joy muscle. So how could you turn that situation around and give yourself permission to feel and experience joy while you're still parenting?
I think the biggest challenge would be just shutting my mind off. I mean, while you're talking, I'm thinking of that saying, where the mind goes, the body follows. And I think the biggest thing would just be to just continually tell myself over and over, this is okay. This is okay. This is good. This is okay, until that rang true for me. And then that joy of doing something like that would, kind of seep in. Cause I think that's a pattern for sure, is I know I need to give myself time like that, and I'll do it, but after I clean up the kitchen, I'll do it. But after I, do this with or for my kids, I'll do it. But after I spend some time with my husband, things like that, where I continually put my own needs last, thinking that that's putting other people first, but they don't get the best of me, and then I'm doing things with them, but I'm grumpy, or I'm distracted, or things like that. So how to not feel that guilt? I mean, I think it would just be active choices of saying no to it over and over again. Life is a series of choices, and it's just like if somebody kept offering you, mounds of ice cream and you've chosen not to do that.
Exactly. Or what I thought about is, if you're in recovery and you're like, I'm not drinking anymore, and somebody keeps offering you a drink, you're like, no, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. And then it'll get a little more aggressive of like, leave me the fuck alone. I'm not your friend anymore. I'm not hanging out with you. But we have to treat our emotions that way.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Gilbert talks about it in Big Magic. And she talks about, co-creating with fear and doubt and worry, and the genius, and how, in the writing process, you have to show up for the genius and be like, come on, please come in, and telling fear, like, you're not in the driver's seat today. And it's kind of the same with guilt. Guilt, you're not running the show today.
Yeah.
And the beauty of this is when you start to say, I want to lead from a place of joy, and I'm going to be mindful, right? Guilt is a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Guilt is a habit. So
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, here comes the habit. It's a habit that's been passed down from generations and generations and generations. And, it's all around. People passively slide it in there. Oh, must be nice. Oh, must be nice. And you're like, yeah, it is freaking nice. You know how much work I had to do to get to where I am mentally right now? I had to do a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
So just
Yep.
imagine who you would become, how your energy would be different, how your relationships would evolve, how your parenting would evolve if you gave yourself permission to allow that joy in.
Mm-hmm. I think, it would be amazing. And I'm getting little tastes of it, because of so much of what you said, like the must be nice. I'm listening to that audiobook, Present Over Perfect, that you talked about on your podcast. And I love it because there's so many aspects of what she says that I can relate to. And one of them is, how she experienced envy with some of her friends of, that they were doing things for themselves or things are really good. And she, kind of always be this bitter, well, it must be nice. I couldn't do that. And even, recognizing some of those things in myself and then realizing, which is why I love your podcast, because you're such a blend of encouragement. You can do this. You're worthy of this. You are valuable. You're worthy, basically. But then also that combination of fuck you, I deserve to be. And anybody who doesn't think I do, well, then just kind of back off. And I think that's the aspect that for me has almost been missing, and that I appreciate so much because in my core of core, I do believe I'm worthy, but not quite worthy enough to tell a negative emotion or someone who's draining me to, go away and to leave me alone and to stand up for myself in those ways it's been really beautiful, and to create boundaries with my time and with my energy. And it's just been such a great thing because I've also in that seen sides of myself that I'm like, okay, yeah, you can feel those moments of like, this is who I am. This is who I am at my core. This is who I want to be. And when you said, well, do you realize how much work I did to get here? That's also been a revelation for me, because I feel like sometimes from a distance you can look at people and think that, oh, they were just born with it. They're born that way, or maybe they don't have the same, they're just naturally more energetic than I am. They're just naturally more upbeat or more of a go-getter,
Yeah.
And that decision to work on yourself and to do it every morning and sometimes every minute of the day, that's quite the dedication that you're giving to yourself. And I think all those kind of tie in, like you have to have the dedication, you have to have the motivation, you have to be committed to yourself. And to do that, you have to know that you're worthy, and you have to be able to speak up, and say, no, this is what I'm letting in, and all those things I'm learning. But yeah, to let go of that it'd be so liberating. I think it would just be liberating. And like, I don't know, like if I think that feels like opening a door on a spring day, like, oh, I can breathe and it's all fresh air. Yeah.
So I give you
really
permission.
Like.
I give you permission to open that door. And to know that, it's one thing to know we're worthy, but I feel like you have to be a little bit of a rebel and a change maker and a trailblazer to say, I have the two camps of people, the ones that say, oh my gosh, thank you, thank you, thank you, you're leading the way. And then those other people of like, must be nice. And they're not even open, right? They're like, no, I need to be a martyr. This is my life purpose. And I tell people over and over again, I don't truly believe I would be where I am right now if stage 4 cancer did not knock on my door. Because people would say, oh, hi, Heather. Who are you? What do you do? I'm a mother. That's how I introduce myself. I am a mother. I had no other purpose in my life besides motherhood, everything for my children. And the beauty of it now is when I let go of that control a little bit and found more of me, my children just blossomed. It was like, it's not an independence from a neglectful state. It's like emotional independence. Like you can wipe your own ass. Good job. You're 13 years old. You should be able to, right? So
exactly.
It's where the sense of freedom comes.
Well, and that's what I'm slowly learning. I mean, I'm not kidding. When your podcasts they've helped me so much, and they've been so empowering. I mean, even in the sense of it was a long day and I'm drained, and I put on your podcast. I'm like, man, she's so motivating. Actually, like I'm going to go downstairs and get my run in for the day and listen to Heather while I do it. I mean, you ran like probably a combined total of like 100 miles with me, just so you know.
I mean, love it.
But
I'm glad somebody's running because I haven't been running as much as I should be.
Well, you do CrossFit and I'm scared of CrossFit, so it all evens out. But and I think that's something I've been learning is that I think I approached motherhood by, oh my gosh, God gifted me these beautiful, amazing children. I need to raise them right. I need to form them into these beautiful people. And the more that I discover myself, the less I identify myself by them. Mm-hmm. And that's been really big for me because I'm realizing that they're their own people and God gifted them to me, but God also created them to be their own individual. And my job as their mother is to support them and love them. And yes, congratulate them for wiping their own butt, but like that doesn't, I don't have to do everything for them. If they have a tantrum in public, to be able to say, this isn't a reflection of me. This is a reflection of you working through something in your journey because you are your own person. And I'm not in charge of telling you who you're supposed to be. I'm just in charge of supporting who you were created to be. And that's been huge for me because the less I identify myself by my child, the less wobbly my own identity is, because suddenly, my kid's throwing a tantrum in public and I'm not, totally freaking out that people are looking at me like this maybe one day when a really good day. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress here, but, trying to be able to be like, not freak out and look around and be like, people think I'm a bad mom. Do people think and suddenly my whole identity comes wrapped up in her tantrum. And how can I ever help her through a tantrum if on the inside I'm doing the same thing, And so, and
then you,
I don't know, that's been really big for me.
Yeah. And you're able to, like you said, you're able to remove yourself and to kind of see outside of it. And the beauty of that is when you see we're all connected, like you and I have never talked before this moment, but yet we're connected. And the beauty of that is you can actually see your children with non-judgmental eyes, right? With that curiosity and go, what are they really telling me? What is their behavior really saying? Instead of, I'm wounded, therefore I'm projecting my own shit onto my child and then just perpetuating this cycle of don't yell at me. And then really what you're saying is, I don't feel heard in my life, right? So it's beautiful to be able to do that, but also it can be scary because then we think, well, who am I if I'm only a mother? Who am I in this world? And then we look around and we see so much confirmation from people engrossing themselves in their children's identity. And then we're like, shit, now I feel like a black sheep. Who am I? What's going on here? And then it makes it easier. And when I always tell you guys, this is easy. And then I get the hate mail. I'm like, listen, it's about you allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to allow it to feel easier. And when you do that, that can be very counterintuitive to how you felt your whole life. So then you feel like you've been dropped, in a different culture and you're like, what is going on here? I feel so uncomfortable.
Well, and for me that, this is easy. I also loved that topic and the projection. I mean, that's something that I feel like I've done big time. And I'm almost, I know that you had cancer and that was a turnaround for you. And for me, it's been some of those big blow-ups where I've stepped back and I'm like, who the hell is that? Like, wow, I've never met her in my life, And those have been moments for me where I realized, how much I'm projecting, like my daughter has a tantrum and instead of, hey, what's going on? Like checking in, it's more so like, calm down because you're making me feel out of control. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I can't control you. And of course I can't. She's a human. She's her own individual. You can't control anyone but yourself. And for me, the this is easy concept hasn't been it has not been, hey, this is easy, and if it's not easy, you're doing something wrong. It's almost been, well, in a way it has. It hasn't just been saying like, oh, this is easy, don't worry about it. Oh, it's more so of like, hey, parenting is easy. And if it's not, what do you need to let go of?
Yeah.
Like it's a lot easier to hold on to one thing than it is to 700 with two hands. Like for me, it's been that check-in of like, this is easy. And right now it doesn't feel easy. So, I'm going to not do dishes tonight because that makes it feel easier. It's been that check-in of like, can I look around me and what can I let go of to make this easy? Mm-hmm. Because it's not easy right now. So how can I get it there? Yeah. It's not just this fantasy of like, oh, this is supposed to be easy, but and that's constant for me because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I am definitely OCD clean with my house, and to be able to look around and, give myself permission to, listen to your podcast and run instead of cleaning up the kitchen. And then I realized all that stuff, it's always going to get done. It is like, I'm not a dirty person, I will get it cleaned. It just might be the next day or maybe 2 days from now, but I won't get back those moments to calm myself down and to check in with myself so that I can be better the next day. So it's a matter of, I think, looking around and saying, what can I let go of to make this easy, and what can wait and what can't. And then another question I've been asking myself because of your podcast is, does this serve me? And I have to ask myself that 1,000 times a day. Like, with how I feel right now and with where I am, does doing the dishes tonight serve me? Sometimes it's yes, because it means I can wake up tomorrow and the kitchen is clean, and that's going to put me in a better mood in the morning. So sometimes, yeah, it does serve me. Other times I know that my mom is helping with the kids tomorrow and I could do it in the afternoon, and I'll take the kids out to breakfast in the morning and I just won't even see it. So I'm going to go to bed, and thinking ahead of you. I'm bringing up, I've just learned so much from you. But like, you also did a podcast of, what do you do the next day? Like how you prep for your day. And you were talking about lunches and homework, and my kids aren't there yet. My kids are 2 and 4. They're not in school yet. I don't have to do any of that, but I have been trying to prep for my day of like, okay, tomorrow I have to run. So how do I want to organize my day so I can get that run in, and kind of organizing those things.
Yes.
Tomorrow I have a break from my mom, so I'm going to let the dishes go tonight and I'm going to do them tomorrow afternoon. Or tomorrow we're really busy, waking up to a clean kitchen would be nice. I'm going to make sure I get that done now. And doing the things that will serve me, because, and even filtering out my social media, like Mom is in Control. I follow that page and I keep up with it. And that serves me a lot more than following Fulana that I haven't even seen since I was 10,
Yeah.
She looks like she's in really great shape and doesn't have kids, and her life is not even remotely comparable to mine, but here I am comparing myself to her,
But just putting in your force fields what is in alignment with where you're at and, where you want to be, and surrounding yourself with that energy. And it sounds like you're definitely headed in the right direction, and it's all about progress, not perfection. I'm the most imperfect human ever. And I think that's normal to realize that we're all capable of doing what we desire. And it literally, you get there one step at a time, one day at a time. And
that's where that vulnerability piece comes in. And it's so amazing to be able to be vulnerable because, where you said we're all connected, I think that's where connection happens, is in vulnerability. And without that, we're all just fake.
And to raise your hand and be like, sure, I'll like let you hot seat coach me and let you share this wherever it ends up.
Sure.
So thank you, Malia, so much.
Yeah, thank you, Heather.
Thank you so, so much. I'm excited to see where you go and just continue pulling back the layers and saying, not this, not the guilt. Let's choose joy. How can I bring more joy into my life right now? Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you do, let us know. Send me a message at support@heatherchauvet.com. We're going to be doing more of these. And I just want to hear your voice. I want to hear more of from the community and where you guys are at and what you want from me. And I'll give it to you. On that note, I was listening to you and you kept saying to me, Heather, how can I feel more in alignment in my life, my work, my marriage, my relationships, and my health? and how the heck do I organize my time in alignment with how I want to feel? So I decided to package these and to sell them to you at a very affordable price. So head on over to heatherchauvin.com/workshops. And if you have any questions, let us know. support@heatherchauvin.com. And remember, these are a limited time. And no, I'm not just saying that. It's legit for real that I will eventually be taking it down, and I don't know when I will. So get over there. Take the action. Make shit happen in your life. Create 2 hours. Hide in your car. Go to a coffee shop. Do whatever you need to do. Your soul is screaming at you every single day. Not this, not this, not this. And I'm literally showing you how to turn it around. I've done live workshops, live training. I'm giving that to you. I'm giving you the PDF. I'm giving you the roadmap. The only thing getting from where you are in this moment to where you want to be is you. That's the only thing blocking you. So take the action. Head on over to heatherchauvin.com/workshops. Register for the workshop that you desire. Go to your email, open it, put some headphones on, lock yourself in the bathroom, get out a pen and a paper, and turn your life around. All right, guys, talk soon.